Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, and also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. I continue to pray for each and every one of you and hope that you will continue to accept and receive all the blessings from the universe. Now, this particular topic today has been tossing around in my head for a while. And I have spoken about, the richer and how they, there is this elitism and so forth. But I was watching, I don't like dropping names of videos, but I think this is worth it. It was Lionel Nation interviewing Roseanne Barr, and they've been friends for a while. And anyway, um, I realized that, and Roseanne actually kind of brought it up. It's a race. It's society has a problem, and that it's all about class warfare, the working class. She, her TV show and everything, Roseanne was all about, working class families and that kind of thing, and not about elitist or, doctors and lawyers and families and stuff. No, it's just about regular families. Well, for a long time, I've understood this, having spent most of my life being thumbed down by the man because for whatever reason, I didn't have the credentials, although I had the brains and the work and the knowledge of things. That, I always ended up on the low end of the pay scale, along with everybody else. Don't get me wrong. But no matter how hard I succeeded or excelled in the jobs that I had, they always, there was always a line, and the workers cannot go above this line. But all of the engineers and, professional staff and all the button pushers and all the number crunchers, they get 3 or 4 times the salary than the rest of the people who are actually doing the work. And so I realized that our problem is that it's class-ism. I don't think that's a real word. I didn't show up in the dictionary. But the class-ism is it, like in India, it's a caste system, caste, caste. And if you're in a particular caste group, no matter whatever education or whatever you get, you never actually ever leave that caste system. You were born into it. And then there are the royal bloodlines, those people who went to college and it doesn't matter. And classism has been going on for a long time. Now, those folks would call it the elites or those folk to us commoners, And it's like, but what makes them different than you or me? Their position. That's all. It's their class structure. And I've known people who have gotten rich and got good jobs and they try to fit into the social structure. But even then it's like, but you weren't born into this. We're old money. And I live down here in South Georgia where there's all kinds of plantations and a lot of history about rich people, having basically, their say over anybody and everybody. The slave quarters are still present on some of these plantations. Back years ago, when I did some work for one of the local plantations, there were people that were 70 and 80 years old 20 years ago, and that these folks, their mothers and grandmothers were slaves, or had just come out of that slave era. And I thought about it, and have, contemplated it over the years and realized, well, now that I'm retired, I don't really have to worry about that, but I do. In that there is a class of people who get twice as much Social Security than I do when they don't, they've got savings, they're blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and I'm not saying that they don't deserve it, but for those of us who put in, and I started working in 1968, okay? So 50 years worth of working or something like that. I started working when I was about 14 years old. That you could get a worker's permit then, and I worked at the 99er restaurant on Bush Boulevard, which used to be Temple Terrace at the time. But sorry about this. Message to a friend. Anyway, sorry about that, folks. But this classism, and people are talking a good line about socialism and all this other kind of thing. And I just thought I would have a little discussion about it, in that there are folks who absolutely believe that poor folks should stay poor, that they don't have a right to something swimming in my coffee. Hi, Bob. Haven't said hi to you in a while. Sharing some coffee. But in this classism, this socialism, this what are we doing? And there are so many people who are if you've ever watched an old Western and they put blinders on a horse so they wouldn't get distracted from things happening on the side. So it made them tunnel vision. So everywhere they looked, they had to look this way, right? And so Americans and the people of the planet, it seems like there is a lot of that going on right now, where people have blinders on. So they're really focused in a very narrow area. And so, well, we're socialism. Well, we're a republic. Here's the bottom line. So many people are being so narrow-minded with that. Well, this is the solution. Well, that's the solution. Well, migrants are a problem. Migrants aren't a problem. The Pope trying to tell everybody that, if you're a country and you don't allow migrants into your country, well, then, you're not a very nice country. But when people come into your country and they try to turn your country into their country, we got a problem here. It's supposed to be a melding of sorts, not people, going to another country, another state, and trying to make it their own. Regardless of who we are, what we are, we kind of have to sort of assimilate. And I don't mean go along with the hive mind, but if you're down here in South Georgia and you ask for tea, you're going to get sweet tea unless you ask for otherwise. Okay, just saying. Down here in the South, we do things differently, and Northern folks don't get it. And us Southerners, I was a damn Yankee. I was born in Ohio and moved down to Florida, and then moved up here to Georgia when I got out of high school and so forth. And I've been here in South Georgia since 1973. But anyway, the idea, though, that, a true Southerners understand what's going on in the world. Hi, Breaking Dawn. Blessings to you and everybody. Blessings. But in this classism, people think that, there's only one way around this, and there isn't. Now, one thing I do agree on, in that people who wish to migrate to a country need to take with them their heritage, but at the same time, it's their mindset. Well, I'm moving to another country because I want to turn their country into our country. Wrong. You should, if I'm going to Germany, I'm going to learn how to speak German. There were some news articles out that in Austria, which is close to Germany, Austria, there are entire classrooms with no indigenous Austrians. They're all immigrant folk. And that none of these people speak German. And some of them were born in Germany and are now going to school there, and that their families refuse to learn to speak German. Now, I'm just saying here, wait a minute. If I move to Mexico, I'm going to learn how to speak Spanish/Mexican. If I move, to France, I'm going to have to learn how to speak the language. Why? Because I want to know what's going on. I want to know where the store is. I want to know what the street signs mean. I want to have at least a basic understanding of the language. And there are people here in America, and I know some of these people who can barely speak English, but they've been in America for 20 years, illegally, I might add. And that, but wait a minute, we're supporting these people. My Social Security is supporting these immigrants and migrants and so forth because they get handouts from the government. I paid into Social Security. They should not get any of my money or your money or the next person's money. Those of us who paid into Social Security, that is supposed to be a closed fund. It's not. They did some mumbo jumbo jangling around, and where I was supposed to get $1,400 a month, I only get $1,000 a month. So they've cheated me $400 a month since I started receiving my disability slash retirement fund. Oh, they gave me a big raise this year, $7. I got a $7 raise. $7, I can't even go to Arby's and get a meal. I'm just saying. But this classism, but the people who are pulling in $3,000-$4,000 a month on Social Security and their retirement fund and whatever, more power to them. But they can't take $100 less and give it to some of us folks who are really struggling on this low end. What about the government who changed the rules so they can take out of the Social Security fund? That's supposed to be a closed fund. No, nobody's supposed to go tinkering with their fingers in it. So many folks are getting a lot more money than I did off of Social Security when they never paid in a dime. And I'm just saying, is that fair? It's part of the classism. All right. Those of us who worked our tail off, we're in the working class. Therefore, our thoughts, our ideas, our bitches about, well, wait a minute, you're giving migrants free money. What about those of us who paid into the system? All the years I paid taxes, but you're going to, wait, we can't pay you $1,400 a month, Hawkeye. We're only going to give you $1,000. Well, that other $400 a month, when we shuck and jived and you don't really deserve it. What? Classism, because the upper class thinks they know what's best for us poor folk. Classism. And it's a very narrow point of view. Now, for those of us who are on the low end, we see things more in a broad spectrum. Do CEOs need or deserve $2-3 million a year salary or more for some of these corporations? Shouldn't those millions of dollars that's going to one person be, quote, Reaganized and trickled down into the masses who support that SOB? But at the same time, but it's classism. Because the upper class says, nah, they're always going to be poor. They should be poor. If they get any more money, they might start thinking hoity-toity thoughts. We got to make sure we keep that stuff down. We can't let these people get out of their class. So those of us who are now, there are some things about Bernie Sanders that I agree with. And there's a lot of it that's just BS rhetoric. Now, I am a socialist in this point. I think society should take care of its own. Now, is that socialism? Now, I didn't say that, the government should rule everything. And I didn't say that, I said that I think that society should take care of its own. Now, is that socialism? Because I think as a society, we should take care of one another. That the rich people who make millions of dollars a year, can you cough up some of that and help some of the poor people? No, because in their class, it's status. Well, why should I give any money to the poor? I'm going to give it through my foundation. And that money very seldom ever reaches the people it's, quote, intended for. Look at the debacle with Haiti and some of these other hurricane issues and things. It's astronomically dumb, stupid, blah, blah, blah. It's classism. I'm sorry, you weren't born into this class structure, therefore you don't belong. And anytime some folks try to pierce that little veil, whoosh, get knocked down. Well, you might make $100,000 a year, but your money isn't old money. I hear that a lot around here. It's not old money. You weren't born into it. So therefore, you become part of you try to break into this class. And quite frankly, they don't want you to join the club. The old George Carlin thing, they're all part of the club and we ain't in it, Now, how do we fix this? We need to keep looking out for each other. We need to tell folks, relatives, friends, whoever, who have the means to help someone out, to please do so. Badger them, guilt trip them, I don't know. But, until we can get folks to be aware. Now, let me bring up something here. Now, my idea of society and helping folks out is like all these migrants moving out of the deserts and things. Have you seen pictures of the desert? Have you seen where they live? Would you want to live there? Oh, I'm going to move to Saudi Arabia and live amongst the rubble. And I'm going to live in the desert where there ain't a tree for miles. Water is scarce. And there's this constant dust in your eyes. Any volunteers? No. So how come there aren't better ways to handle some of these things? It's because of the classism. Well, we're going to let them come in and we're going to do this thing and we're going to look like we're being all nice and neat and all this. And when some of these folks are making millions of dollars off of the migrants and the immigrants. Now, you got to have poor folk to do your work for you because you don't want to lose your profit margin. Now, I've stated this before, but I'll bring it up again. Back when I was growing up, my grandma and grandpa ran a small store. And I learned about markups and things and this, that, and the other thing. And my grandpa told me, he said, after all the bills are paid, now this was back in the 60s. He said, when all the bills are paid, if there's a 3% across the board increase in your sales for the year, and now that included his salary, okay? His salary, grandma's, whatever, all the bills are paid, and you get 3% at the end of the year, that's a damn good year. Now, the class warfare is if you don't make 10 or 15% profit per year above the year before. Now, what does that mean? Well, does that mean that you sell more product? Well, what if your product is such that you can't? So where do you cut corners to increase your profit margin? Because you're in this class warfare thing. So what do? They drop the lower class. You're out of here. We're going to bring in cheaper labor. We're going to rearrange the workforce. So our profit margin, I worked in a tier 1 group, Prestolite Wire Corporation, that makes all the spark plugs for Ford, Chrysler, a lot of Nissan and Honda. And so it's like, I've been in this. I watched what they did, how they handled their workers so that they could maintain a profit margin that was better than the year before. And the year before, we had even superseded the year before that. But every year, you can't continue to honestly make a 10 to 12% increase per year. It's unsustainable. And I've been in arguments with people for years about this. You can't keep upping your profit margin. You got to go with, look, you've got a 5% increase over last year. All your bills are paid. You're in the black and not in the red. But at the same point, you're going, well, I don't know, we should have done better. You made $285 million last year, and 5% of that was absolute pure profit after all the bills are paid. you had a five, I don't know what 5% of 380 million, but that, my point to that is like, ain't that a sizable chunk of change? And that was just one plant. So but the harder they tried to save money, do this, they shut down 2 plants in America and moved them to Mexico because they could hire workers for 1/3 the price, so they could maintain their profit margin of 10 to 12%, as much as 15%. That's ludicrous. This is a class structure, and they don't even know what's going on. So they're looking at this. We got to make more money. We got to make more money. What about just having a sustainability? Every year you make a consistent 5% across the board profit. Oh, but that's not good enough, because this company over here. Wait a minute. So, but you're trying to tell me that for 10 years you make consistent 5 to 7% profit, but that's not good enough? No, our shareholders need more. No, what you need is to give more money to your CEOs and to your share. They're more greedy. They want more money. 5% ain't enough for them. Nope, they got to make it 10%. It's all about class. It's all about they're thinking right here. They're not looking at the rest of the world. So while these people did these things, guess what happened? The people that they thought were going to be able to take over our jobs down in Mexico, their production went south. Ford got pissed off. I mean, there was a big deal. And all about classism, because you got to stay. Oh, well, this company made 12% profit margin last year. If we're going to beat them, then we've got to have a 15% profit margin over the year. Well, but you've already got 9. Well, don't care. 9% ain't good enough because they had 11 or 12. Yeah, but that's a different business. Doesn't matter. They made 12% profit. We've only got 9%. Not enough. We got to find greed, classism. We got to stay within our class. In the corporations, there are classes, okay? This corporation ranks up here. This corporation. It's all about classism. Are they looking at the broad spectrum of where we are as humanity? No. Because they don't care. They're focused in this one area, and it's all about profit. It's all about capitalism. It's all about how can we maintain our class structure without letting anybody else in. We don't want them to make more money, because then they'll want to get in the damn country club. You know, if we give them more money, then they'll have nice cars like us. If we give them any more money, if we give the working class any more money, then, oh my God, they'll be able to afford a better housing. If, you know what, they'll be able to take a vacation to Hawaii, and we don't want them there. You know, we don't want common folk coming to our favorite places. You know, no, it's reserved for us elite. It's reserved for us upper class, the classism. Now, let me move this on. Enough of that. 23 minutes. Oh my God. Am I on a tirade or what? But the idea, though, that people, well, how are we going to change it? We got to change people's minds. And those folks who are in the upper classism part of this are not going to stop. They're going to have to, and I don't mean, let me phrase this. I don't think that they should be stripped of all their assets. If they got more assets than everybody else, and they got more money in the bank, and they're still getting $4 million a year, I say just, you know, live off of what you got. Let's give a bunch of other people a job. Let's let that money trickle down. Reagan, in a way, had a good idea, but it never got to the poor people. During the Reagan years was one of the most horrible times I've ever had to put up with, as far as a person and finding work and this, that, and the other thing. The Reagan years were the pits. Anyway, but it is seriously about classism. Now, looking at the broader picture. Now, I do think it's important that people who have been crapped on, their country has been at war, Syria, you know, the whole Middle East thing. These people have been bombed out of existence. They don't have any resources to begin with. They live in a desert, you know. But now at the same point, things could have been handled differently, because the rich people have it. And they could have sponsored people. They could have set up communities with schools, training. that had nothing to do with our social security system or Germany's or Sweden's. I mean, the women in Sweden are afraid to go out on the streets anymore. What? Sweden used to be like, oh, those Sweden, the Swedish babes and all. No, the Muslims have taken over the country, and that's a horrible thing. That any one group should try to influence an entire country, and make the people who live there feel unwanted. Then I say, send your tail back to the desert. Here's $20 a bus fare, and you're going back to the desert. Not, well, we need to make excuses for them. No. If they wanted to do this, the rich people, because they need poor workers to do the menial tasks that they refuse to do, they could have sponsored people. Okay, here's $1 million. And at $10,000 per person, how many people can we bring in? I've got some rental property. We're going to actually put them to work building the community for them. They're going to build the school that these people, I mean, there's a lot of ways they could have handled this better instead of just saying, well, there's 10,000 people knocking at your country's door. Let us in, take care of us. Nah, I'm sorry. A lazy person should not get the same as a hard-working individual. I used to hold down 3 jobs when I was working back in the day because I couldn't make enough at any one particular job to pay my child support. I mean, $50 a week when you only make 150 clear, and you're going to give a third of your salary to. Not that I didn't want to help support my son or daughter. That's not the issue. The issue is that when you only make $150 and you've worked your ass off, that $50 that you have to send out of your own household, now I'm living off $100 a week. Literally, $100 a week. Okay, $400 a month. And I'm like, but my ex-wife, she's making 3 times the amount of money that I am because of her position, but yet I have to continue to pay her $50 a week on my reduced salary. Now, I'm glad that she got paid more money. That's not the issue. But the issue is that certain people moved up in their class because I'd been in jail and a felon. I was stuck with menial task jobs. They put us in jail so they can have this felonious workforce that will do absolutely anything because you can't get a decent job because you have a felony. So I smoked pot and I had a drug addiction, and therefore I was thrown in jail because of my drug addiction and spent a year in jail. Now I'm a felony. Now I'm a felon. And do you think I could find a decent work? No, because I'm a felon. Oh, but I'm a bad person because I've had a drug addiction and got thrown in jail. Classism. If I had been in a different class of people, I would have been sent to a really hoity-toity kind of, drug rehab center instead of being thrown in jail. Classism. Lower class, thrown in jail. Upper class, guess what? They get to go to rehab and they get a second chance or a third chance or a fourth chance. I know people who've been in rehab, 6 or 7 times. Should have went to jail. I, being lower class, went to jail. Ain't no stop and go for me. Now I'm a felon for the rest of my life. Okay, that's going to be a topic for another subject. But in the broad-minded thing, socialism. What does socialism mean to you? Do you think people that are homeless and sleeping under bridges is that a good idea for America? When there are so many people with so much money that they're stingy, they're stuck in their class. I gave $100,000 to the homeless last year, but you made 10 million. Well, yeah, but I gave 100,000. Isn't that enough? Well, obviously no. You made 10 million. You couldn't give up one of those millions. And with all the other money that you have and all of your properties and things, you couldn't have gave up 10% of that salary. or whatever, 10 million, what? Oh yeah, but I gave 100,000, look at me. Yeah, but you made 10 million. So it's my money. Right, because you're in this classism. Now, I can't change their way of thinking, but we can change our way of thinking on how we look at them. Do they deserve it? No. Does anybody deserve $10 million a year in a salary? Seriously? You mean a million isn't enough? Wait, give me 500,000. I'll show you what to do. Well, no, I have to have a big mansion. Well, that requires upkeep. Well, the mansion cost me 10 million. Well, that's your own damn fault. You couldn't have bought a house for 500 grand and fixed it up. You got what? Status, classism. Well, we have to keep our appearances up. Well, if I'm a CEO of a big corporation, then we must live in a big, beautiful house that costs 10 million. Otherwise, when we invite our friends over or whatever, we have to show this off. We have to show our classism off to the rest of them in our class. Now, for us poor folk, we have a barbecue and we dig a hole in the ground and put a grate over the top of it, put some chicken on it, or maybe a barbecued pig, or sometimes a goat or something like that. We, have a big barrel full of ice and it filled full of different kinds of beer. There might be a wine, a box of wine somewhere for somebody. And we socialize, we get together, we rub elbows with each other in our lower classism. We take care of each other. Many of us don't have enough to take care of ourselves, but we still look out for the other guy. I still do. I don't, 1,000 a month. I help people out when I can. And it's like, but wait a minute, they owe me $400 a month for the last 10 years, them sons of bitches, but that's okay. They're looking at ways to give more money to more migrants. And I'm like, stop, or immigrants, I'm sorry. And migrants at least are working. They come here, they work at different farms, or down here in South Georgia. There are a lot of migrant workers. There's a lot of farms. I mean, how do you pick cabbage? By hand. It's really difficult to harvest cabbage and some of the peaches. You need people to pick peaches. But in order for everybody to make their profit, they got to pay the workers on the bottom as low as possible so that the people who own the farm, who run the business, they can maintain their social and class status. Those of us picking peaches, we want something to eat. We got to pay our light bill. Our insurance is due on our automobile. We need this. And we'll work overtime to try to get a few extra pennies. Well, the guy at the top, he's like, well, I know they have expenses, not my point. But my point is that in this classism, their type of socialism is for their benefit, not for you and me. Now, when we look at the bigger picture, I would say that we need to help each other. But does bringing 500,000 immigrants into the United States and dumping them literally on the welfare system, which they're using my Social Security money for, to help these people out? No, that's wrong. That's just absolutely wrong. There is a better way. They're not using it. Back in the days of the end of the Vietnam War, there were people here in the United States who sponsored Vietnamese families, sponsored the whole family, put them in a house, help educate them, help teach them English. They sponsored these people. Thumbs up. That's a good idea. So why aren't there people sponsoring families? Not just, well, I paid my taxes. Well, I did my this. No, they turned a blind eye, because if they had to do that, if they did that, it would show that their true intentions of being an upper class or middle class. It would absolutely ruin their image. Well, I gave to the charity, and that's their excuse. Well, I gave to this. No, but you got 3 rental houses, and you've already got enough money, but you wanted to make more money, so you bought up some cheap property. You did this realty thingy, and now you're charging people $500 and $600 a month for rent on something, when actually you can afford to give them the damn house rent free. Here you go. I'll even pay the taxes. Let me sponsor you. Immigration, fine. You want to immigrate? There's rental houses. You were living in the desert in the sand in a bombed out building. Okay, so I'm a slumlord and I got some low rent housing, but I will allow you to stay in it for free. I'll even give money and you can fix it up. Here's paint, here's stuff, here you go. Because this rich person can write all that mess off their taxes. But I didn't make any money off of the property. But you let somebody have a house. You gave somebody an opportunity, and the condition could be, fine, you can have this house for free and live in it. You got to pay your own electricity, but you must learn English. You must learn, you must become a citizen. You must do these things. But you can have free housing, and we're going to help you out, give you a job, and help you to immigrate. They're not doing it. Nope. Oh, I gave to the charity. Well, let the government handle it. Well, blah, 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 blah. Well, if we are a true society, we should be helping each other. Now, is that socialism? In my realm, it is, because it's helping all peoples in our society. I didn't say anything about, well, the government should begin to control it, and that ain't going there. But we as human beings, from one person to another, need to step up. There are many people who are capable of it, but they're refusing to because of the class-ism. Well, I don't know, I have to give up something. Well, have you ever lived on dirt? Have you ever eaten mud pies? Have you ever eaten the bark off of a tree to sustain yourself? Have you ever lived in a desert and had to eat sand for breakfast, let alone eggs or whatever? Go without proper water and hydration. Wait a minute, it's time to think about that. But my point back to this is that there are solutions. Pope Francis, that bad word, Poop Francis is somebody has been calling him. I agree with that, Poop Francis. So Poop Francis, he's like, well, tear down your borders. Okay, so tear down the wall of the Vatican, and you take in some of these immigrants and migrants, you support them. The Catholic Church has got tons of, sell some of them gold chalices and crosses and stuff. Sell some of them paintings to the rich folks who can afford it, and then give it to the poor. Should the Vatican have all these big, huge, powerful trappings of wealth? I'm an ex-Catholic. So in my world, the Catholic Church should literally be holding mass in a barn. Literally, all this fancy stuff and all that. No. Jesus taught, and if you're a Christian and a Catholic, then Jesus went out into the fields and in the byways and highways and spoke to the people. So what do we need why do we need mega churches? Why do we need this church? Why do we need what? It's all about class. It's all about money. I hated to see Notre Dame burn. But that there's $1 billion that's already been projected to redo the cathedral. What could $1 billion do to solve the issue with migrant people and flooding countries and not having enough food and you know what I mean? Is anybody pledging $1 billion to help relieve the homeless issue? But Notre Dame, a Catholic church. Oh, did you all know that it wasn't a Catholic church always? Yeah, that was interesting. But to the point though, Oh, the society says Notre Dame is a symbol. I'm all for fixing it up, but hire a bunch of poor people then to work on the damn thing. I mean, give them a decent salary, give them a decent place to live. Decent, not some hole in the wall or whatever where there are 7 people in a 1-bedroom apartment taking shifts, sleeping on the couch and beds. And no, 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 no. We can do better than that. But classism, unless it somehow is dissolved or whatever, the true purpose of humanity is not going to be known. I hate to say it. Those of us human beings who see the broader picture understand. I hate to even say this, but Hillary Clinton, when she wrote that book, It Takes a Village, there's a lot of truth in that. If we as a village, meaning a society, if we were to take the time and effort to just give people a break. Look, I got a house that needs fixing up. I'll tell you what, free rent, you paint it. Free rent, you fix it up. Free rent, here's a lawnmower, mow the grass. Free rent but you got to do this, 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 and this. Now, the other side of the coin is the people who are receiving this need to uphold their end of the bargain. And I've worked for a company that had 150 rental houses. And some of the people who moved into those houses, they need to be living under a bridge. Oh my God, talk about tear up a decent house. Not the fanciest, but a decent house. No holes in the floor, the plumbing works. There's all the windows are there. I mean, decent, okay? And folks just rip it to shreds. So we've got some, and I say, lower class folk who just they got to change their point of view. But if they were given a decent job with a decent salary, then they would have better, look for myself. Well, I worked for this guy and he only gave me, $100, and I worked all week long for him, but he paid me under the table because I'm a felon and I can't get a job, and I can't get a decent job. And so you do underhanded things, and then you go back into selling drugs, and then you become a crack house. But if society were to look at and say, listen, I've got a lot more than I need. Let me help you. But these are the rules. And sign a contract with them. Say, listen, I'll give you this house free, but you're going to do A, B, C, and D. And if you don't, we will ask you to move. We will put you out. And I'm not even going to put a time frame on it. I'm just going to say, you get these done. But now if it takes you 6 months to get number 1 done, we ain't going for that. If I buy you 10 gallons of paint, I expect you to put the paint on the house. That's all, and do it in a timely fashion. And not leave it all over the neighbor's cars. There are people who are willing to do that. They want to step up out of their current crappy situation. They're not asking to go to the country club, but they're asking for a decent living and a decent place to live. And as a society, we have more than enough means to do that. But until classism is worked out, when them upper class smudgy whatever, I don't know, they need to have a come to Jesus moment is how I look at it. And maybe it's that their house burns down. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm for this, but in the case of Job in the Bible, it's like, let me take everything that you have away and then take a look at what you do have. Wait a minute. There's a lot of things that are free. Right. $200 for a haircut. Well, good for the barber. But, you can spend $200 on a bottle of wine, but you can't tip your waiter, $100 bill. You can have a $200 bottle of wine, not think twice about it, but giving the waiter $5 extra for their effort is, well, he doesn't really deserve it. He's lower class. It's below us. But I bought the wine, but tip the waiter $50. Nah. Worked in them places down here in the South. Seen it, watched it firsthand, been the waiter, and like, well, but you don't really deserve any more than this. What's 10% of, well, I don't, that seems like a lot. Well, you spent $300. So if you gave me 10% of $300, wouldn't that be $30? Yeah, but you don't really deserve that. Why? You just bought a $200 bottle of wine, but you know what I mean? So from a society standpoint, wait a minute, but you don't deserve it. You deserve the $200 bottle of wine, but you don't deserve to pay the wait staff a decent salary. Oh, well, that 10%, that's a lot of money for a tip, $30? Really? Well, if you spend 300, 10%, $30. Well, I don't know. That seems like highway robbery. You just spent $300, but to give $30 to a waiter or a waitress is beyond you. Seen it, done it. They do it all the time. Okay, here's $2. I'm doing you a favor because you're lower class. There may need to be a French Revolution. And the French are revolting right now, along with a lot of other folks. And now I'm asking the universe, we need to look at this bigger picture, the whole planet. Now, I'm not speaking of globalism, but I am thinking humanityism, the globe as humanity. We can do better. We have ways to do better. Hi, Delaney. How are you? Pleased to see you out and about. We as a society can do better. We as a society should demand better. Now, there are a lot of things, a lot of people, rich, poor, blah, blah, blah. Well, Trump's got me. Well, yeah, but you know what? Much like JFK did, JFK didn't take a salary. Neither does Trump. I think he's getting like $1 a year to do what he's doing. And so, and he's trying to lead by example. Look, I already got enough money. So why can't other people do this? Well, because they're in this class-ism. And back when I was making $40,000 a year, I thought I was a rich person. But the people who are making $140,000 a year saw me as a pauper. You only make $40,000? Well, shame on you. You can't come to our country club. You don't make enough money. Well, yeah, but I paid the dues. If out of my 40 grand, I found enough money to join your damn country club, yeah, but you only make 40 grand. You got to sit at the little kids' table. I've been there, done that. I mean, seriously. And I look around and go, well, what makes these people so highfalutin? It's it's what they, I'm highfalutin because I am. I'm of a higher class than you, so that I'm entitled to this. What the F are you talking about here? It's all over the place. We got to stop this. But revolution, hanging them up from lampposts, I'm not for that. But somehow the cycle needs to get broken. I'm good. Got to see my son after 18 years. He's 22. Best mom's day ever. Oh, blessings for you, Delaney. Has that bougie mindset. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if we're going to be able to change the elite's mind. And I'm not, saying they should give up everything and sell everything, although the Bilderbergs have been having a yard sale because some of their assets have been frozen. But the idea, though, that we as a society, as human beings, can do better. And we should continue to speak up about it. And every time I try to, of course, I have a small following and you subscribers, and I love you all. But my point to that is I'm speaking it to the universe. There's got to be a better way than this classism warfare, this narrow-minded, you're in your group and you got to stay there. Oh, they're looking out for the company. Yeah, well, the company made $1 billion last year, but you paid your lower class employees subservient wages to where, you know, they had to work 2 shifts, 2 jobs, and barely make a living. And they're not living high off the hog. They're just trying to put food on the table, clothes in their kids, and maintain. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but it's got to change. There are way more of us than there are of them. That's why they're trying to kill us through the pharmaceuticals, all the other stuff. They can get good medical attention. We got to go through the system. All about class. We just need to stand up and say, listen, I refuse to participate in your way of thinking. My way of thinking is, I got to put up with your tired, honky ass. But at the same point, it's like, hang on. I'm aware that I am a free being. I am aware that I am a sovereign being. I have to play your game because it's the only freaking game in town. And I got to play by certain rules. But do I have to believe that that's the only way out of this? Do I have to like, well, there's no hope for us. This is the only thing that we can do. There's never going to be any better. No, I don't think that at all. That's why I'm doing this video. If I speak it to the universe, if I speak it to enough people, just maybe, somebody will go, wait a minute, you know, the tide's turning. It should be our responsibility. I had $1,000 because I got my paycheck on the 3rd of the month. Wow, I got $1,000 in the bank. I can help somebody this month. There's a friend of mine needs $20. There you go. I'm good this month. I had $20 left over from last month. Here you go. Help a neighbor. That's how I feel, but other people don't. But I'm going to continue to pray that this change in our mindset, their mindset, it's not about socialism, but it is about our society. Socialism's got a really nasty name, but I am for society. We as a society of human beings can do a better job. But if we're only looking like this and can't see on either side of us, we're not going to see the broader picture of humanity. There are farmers here in South Georgia that everything is hydroponic. Now, listen, if you lived in the desert, you got plenty of sunshine. That's one thing that you got going for you. You live near the ocean. Well, there are desalination plants. There are ways to get the salt out of water that's not really that expensive. But at the same time, you could irrigate your crops. You could do indoor gardening. There are billionaires in Saudi Arabia in the desert that could set up greenhouses. They got huge ones here in South Georgia, acres and acres and acres, and nothing but greenhouses. And they're growing all kinds of different vegetables indoors because it's easier to grow indoors than it is outside because you can't control the pest outside. I'm having issues right now with my tomato plants getting chewed up by worms. I go out there every other day and there's twice as many worms and I kill them all. It's not like I save the worms. No, kill, squash, feed them to the chickens. But the idea though that, you know, I refuse to use the poison, but I'm trying to get my greenhouses fixed so that the idea that I can control the environment from the bugs. And I can give the plants more light and so forth. But it's the control of the situation. So there are millions of acres of desert that plenty of sunshine. Well, that's what needs. Don't we need lots of sunshine to grow food with? Just saying. So we've got solutions. Epcot Center in Walt Disney World in Orlando, when they opened up Epcot Center. Walt Disney was very much into, he might have been a pedophile and a weirdo, but a lot of them out there. But his overall idea of the goals for the future, that they grow lettuce on conveyor belts. The roots dangle in the air and go through sprayers. It's amazing. This has been going on for 30 plus years, okay, or more, to look back when Epcot Center was open. But they have an area in there called the Land. Um, yes, Delaney, I do have immense hope in humanity. I don't have any hope for the classism bit, but yes. But how do we convince those who have more than the rest to share? They're just going to have a come to Jesus moment. And I don't know how they're going to get it or what, but I'm going to continue to pray like you, Delaney. Uh, I'm going to continue to pray and put it out into the universe. Things have to change. They must change. They aren't changing. There are rich people who are helping other folks out. It's not like all rich people are buttholes. But, if these people who are sitting on, $100 million, are you serious? You can do better. We can do better. Sponsor someone. Take it off your taxes. It's okay. Use the system. But yeah, I agree with you, Delaney. No one ever came out and said that Walt touched them. Yeah, he might have been a little weird. And it might not have been Walt so much as some of his cartoonists, but just saying. But anyway, in the grand scheme of things, there are visionary people, and then there are the folks in the classism against them. So there's class warfare in the classes. The upper echelon. You think they like what Trump's working for free as the president? What, he's not taking any, what? And he's, what? What are you talking? Well, he must be making, he's already got the money. He don't care, right? His family's taken care of. He don't care, But at the same time, I would say to Mr. Trump, then why don't you personally lead the way and give every one of your workers everywhere a $4 an hour raise? Period. Anybody below 100 grand, $4 an hour raise, whatever it is, $4 an hour. Because, your profit margin. But if you're a billionaire, then does it really matter? But I continue to pray that people will have the human planet as their goal, not just the village. We're learning now that the entire planet is a village, and we need to stay on that. You love Trump Bumpy? I don't know what that is, the lady, but I'll try to look that up. But anyway, but the idea though that there are rich folks around here. I mean, like millionaire rich folks. And do you think they're trying to help out the lower class? Oh no, I've been in with some of their meetings. I've worked for some of these people, and they're like, well, we can't pay them too much. Then will have. And this is what they said. I'm repeating what other people say. We'll have a bunch of uppity niggers on our hands. How about that one? But the thing is that I fall in that category. I'm a nigger to them because I am a lower class in there. So anybody that isn't born into it or have the funds to buy into their club, then y'all niggers in their point of view, because y'all slaves, y'all the working class, and you do not deserve better because you are who you are and you must stay in your position. Now, I've heard these people say exactly those words. And, okay, I'm living off of $1,000 a month and they get $1,000 a day, Okay, what's more fair? Now, I don't want to be greedy, but my point is the people who are doing a lot of the bitching have the means to fix the problem, and they're not. They're choosing to pawn it off onto somebody else. And I think, well, then quit your belly aching, stand up and do something right for someone. Stand up for the planet. Oh, well, we cows fart. Listen, humans fart. Do you know how much, if these AOCs and these folks, if they understood how much methane goes into the atmosphere through sewage treatment plants and that kind of thing, wait a minute. That means then we must get rid of humans too. Yeah, but cows farting. Oh my God. We got to have fake cheese. We got to have this. We got to have soy. Wait a minute. You won't have cheese from a cow, which is sort of natural, but you're going to take a soybean product that's been sprayed, glyphosates in the land, sprayed for bugs, sprayed for this, sprayed for that, sprayed for this, treated, gone through all this stuff and turned into a soybean kind of fake cheese. And these people are running around going, feed me, feed me, feed me. Ooh, stuff is so good. A cow is a cow. A cow gives milk. Okay, so if the cow's eating stuff, it comes out in the cheese. But they're going to take something that is a natural process, shove it aside. Do you know how many acres of soybeans it takes to make some of these products? Do you know how many gallons of fuel that it takes? Do you know how many tons of fertilizer? Do you know how many? What? But soybeans are going to save us all, and we're going to have soy milk, and we've got soy this, and we got soy that, and that's the answer to everything. Really? Do you know how hard it is to grow soybean and to get the kind of yield you're talking about? They used to grow soybean around here, but it wasn't viable enough. They moved out of the soybean because they couldn't make enough money off of it. So is soybean viable? There are still folks who plant soybean. It takes a crap load of acres. I know. I have run a combine. I have worked in a feed mill where they dumped the seed after it was done. And anyway, I've worked in this farm community down here, and I've seen it change. So people are like, "Oh, well, that's soybean. I'm not going to eat meat. I'm going to do." I understand the idea of not eating meat. I understand not killing or eating something that's dead. I get it. But there are so many people who are going, well, but I'm going to have soy because it's better. If you knew how much it costs to produce that soy, but at the same time, you're going to bitch about a cow fart? Are you serious? The tons of fuel, the tons of fertilizer, the tons of everything. A cow, all you got to do is feed it. It makes milk on its own. You don't have to process it. You don't have to. All you got to do is, milk them and then make the cheese. A natural process. But cheese from another source, and all these people, I'm not going to eat dairy products because, they intake all this poison. Do you have any flipping clue? The amount your soybean is susceptible to more chances of contamination than any cow. Just saying. Cows around here, there are small dairies around here, they get fed well. They get hay. Farmers are careful because they don't want anything in the feed to change the taste of the milk. It's very important. They grow a certain type of hay. They use certain types of feed. They use certain type of procedures for their milk because they want their milk to taste wholesome and be wholesome because they and their family drink it. Now, I've known people. I worked for a little while with a small dairy up around Norman Park years ago. I don't know if it's still there, but to the point. I used to, shovel cow manure for the garden. How about that one? So there's so many things that we can be doing better. But these folks who think, well, this is better than that. Is it really? Well, cow farts are going to kill us all. Well, what about that volcano that just went off? Oh, that don't matter. Yeah, but one volcano spew is worth, all the cows on the planet for a year. Think about it. Oh, but we can't go there. So in looking at the planet as humanity, there are many places who do lots of good things, but it's all driven by greed. The farmers who pick the coffee, the CEO's got to make his cut. So the workers are paid a lot less. So the CEO can make more. It's just fact. I think CEOs of corporations should get minimum wage. They should prove their worth before they ever get a bonus. Years ago, there was a big move on and this would help America out, but they stopped it. And it was that there were many companies who were into profit sharing. So you worked for the company, you showed up, you made a good product, and at the end of the year, any profits were shared with the workers. Briggs and Stratton did it, and then they got bought out, and then they dissolved it, from what I understand. Pissed off the Briggs and Stratton folks big time. The workers there, they were like, "What? We were profit sharing, and now you sold out to another company, but now we're still Briggs and Stratton, but now the owners of the new company go, that's not part of the deal." What? Harley Davidson. So there was a lot of different companies. There were several small companies down here in South Georgia that did the profit sharing. None of them exist any longer. And it's not because that they weren't viable. They all made money. And at the end of each quarter, we all got a $50 check or so. Wow, good for the economy, good for the workers. We all worked harder. We made sure that our product was good. We were part of the company because they shared in the profits. They don't care about that anymore. In the last 20 years, that's out the window. Do you hear of companies offering profit sharing anymore? Nah, not me. Because why? It's against their bottom line. If we share the profit with our workers, then the CEO's not going to make as much. Us upper echelon bean counters aren't going to make enough. This has got to change. Don't have a real clue as to how we're going to do that, except we must continue to speak out about the inequality of things. We don't need to, I don't know, maybe we do need to burn down a mansion. Maybe I'm not into violence. I mean, I'm just not. But maybe some of these people literally need to be drug out of their highfalutin places and put on the street and watch their stuff go up in smoke, as it were, and say, okay, you got to come out in the field and work with us. Well, wait a minute. I've never worked in the field. Right. So come on. Just like I think that one of the problems with politicians, for example, I think everybody ought to be a politician. I think that, if you're a small community and there's a mayor, I think that once a year, you're a mayor, 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 you're a council, and that everybody in the community should be mayor at least once. Everybody in the community should be a city councilman or counties. I think everybody, should work on the police force. I think everybody should take a turn doing something. Because why? If you understood what the politician had to go through, well, then you get a better understanding of it. And at the same point, if you were a mayor for a year, then you will know that if somebody else comes in and doesn't do it right, you've got a reason to, whoa, I was mayor. That's not right. And, we've got protocol here. I think everybody should be involved. This idea of lifetime politicians, in so many ways, I think they ought to be shot. I don't mean physically, but I mean, shot out of existence. Here, go take your ill-gotten gains and go live on a farm somewhere and stay out of politics. Shut up. Your shot is over. You're shot at the title. That's what I mean by shot. Not bang, bang, shoot shot. But now there's some creepoids out there that I do think should be hung from the yardarms, but that's my own personal opinion, not some infernal justice. But how are folks going to pay attention? Don't know. But I do have hope for humanity. I continue to have hope for this planet, but we've got some major changes. But this idea that, cow farts is killing us all, oh, please. Do your research. I think I'm going to do a separate video on that and give some statistics of how much fuel and everything it takes to, I got vids on soy too. What about Delaney? No, George Washington Carver warned, no eat soy for cleaning solution materials. Yeah, it depends on what you do with soy, Delaney. I mean, the folks in China and Japan, there are a lot of soy products that they use, but they use it naturally. They grow the beans and they mash it and they make whatever stuff they make with it, But the idea, though, that the soy that we have that's manufactured now is so processed up, down, left, right, back, forth. It's horrible. And people really need to pay attention to that. But my basic point is that folks say, well, a cow, that's not natural, but the soybean is. And I want to go back to the idea that pay attention. They're selling you a bill of goods. Pay attention. Organic gardening. I got organic gardening. I refuse to use poisons. I got to quit doing this video and go out and squash some bugs on my tomato plants and other plants. But anyway, but to the point though, I use my own chicken manure. There are ways to do this. Back in the day, we used to have small community farms. One guy had a tractor and we all went and helped. I bought seeds, helped with fertilizer. We'd go do string beans and we'd all go out and after work, we'd stop by and work for an hour pulling weeds and doing stuff, picking beans when they come in. I mean, but the community, the idea of these, just a family getting together and having a community garden, they don't do it anymore. I mean, every little house down here around South Georgia used to have about a half acre little plot of garden. They're just not here anymore. Nobody's paying attention. Nobody's growing. And not like they used to. So we can get out of this. The people in Venezuela, they've got really good farmland down there and stuff. Part of the reason, but they were, everybody became too commercialized. So it's easier for me to go to the store than it is to plant something. But when the store runs out, you ain't got nothing to eat. So what they used to take for granted as far as having a home garden, victory garden, now folks just depend on the system. And when the system fails, then they go hungry and then they bitch. Well, but do you have any, well, I don't have a garden spot. Do you live in a house? Yes. Do you have a yard? Well, it's not very big. I can't really, but do you have areas around your house? Well, yeah. Could you put out some potted plants? Well, why would I do that? Well, could you build, could you just buy a couple of plant, thingies, buckets, but why would I do that? Well, that takes up too much time. Yeah, but when you can't get fresh tomatoes at the store and you don't know where they come from and you don't know what they used on them, but you're going to say, well, but I just went to the store and it says organic on it. Did you know that it had all organic foods must go through, get this, they must be irradiated before they're sold into a market. All produce it goes through an irradiation process. Really? So unless you go to the farm and pick it, or they sell it at the farm, if it goes through the system, your food's being irradiated. Check that one out. Oh, but that's not the organic. Yes, that's the organic too. Because they're claiming, well, it's got to run through these machines to get rid of any bacterial stuff. There you go. So, but you're going to put all your beans in a basket, as it were, and accept what's going on. Okie dokie, fine. There's a better way. We got to start. I'm growing my own garden. I'm going back out there in here just a little bit and feed my chickens up and do my garden chores and work on my greenhouse. There are ways to do things. There are ways. You just got to be willing to do them and say, wait, I'm going to take charge of this. I might only get 10 tomatoes out of all of my work this summer. I don't care. But those 10 tomatoes are going to be the best damn tomatoes. They're going to be my tomatoes. They were grown and, they're my maters, I squashed the bugs off of them. I know they are organic and I know they're healthy for me. How many other people? Well, but I go to the store and I buy organics, but do you really know it's good for you? Well, it says organic. Did you meet the farmers? Well, no. Did you meet any of the people on the way through the process? Well, what do you mean? Well, they spray them with pesticide. Did you know that, wait a minute. They use chlorinated water on all of your fresh vegetables to wash them off with when they get to the stores. What about all the fluorides and stuff that are put on the vegetables? You go in, you see these misters and everything. Do you think that's purified water? No, it's tap water from the city. So you're getting whatever's in the city water sprayed on all your organic on all your organic foods. Wait, but so that means if you buy the lettuce, shake it off, you've got chlorine on it now, you've got fluorides on it now, and if any absorption rate into the outer leaves or whatever of the lettuce or whatever it is that you're eating that's supposed to be fresh has now been contaminated with chlorinated city water. Yeah, that's right. Organic's the best way to go. If you do it yourself, you're getting cheated. So anyway, I think I've ranted and raved enough about this. The planet, you and me, Delaney, Breaking Dawn, everybody else, all you all out there, make a difference. Plant one seed, plant one something, don't care. Pick something and grow it. And say, this is my squash. This is my tomato. This is my spinach. Whatever it is, do it. Well, I don't know. I don't have time. But you got enough time to go through the store and look, well, is this organic or is it that? Grow your own. Just one something. I dare you. I love you all. I do. I do have faith in humanity. I don't have the faith in the folks that are running this damn mess, but it's up to us to continue on with speaking to others and go, are you sure this is a good idea? Just saying. I love you all. I do. Every single day, especially when I'm awake, I go through my prayer list, and all y'all on here are on my list. If any of you are Facebooky with me, they won't let me back on Facebook unless I prove who I am by showing them my driver's license. Are you serious? They want my birth certificate. They want me to take a picture of my birth certificate and send it to Facebook to prove who I am. I just gave you my password. Oh, well, yeah, but now we need proof. Why do you need my driver's license? You want my frickin' birth certificate for me to log back into Facebook? Are you nuts? Sorry, Facebook. All my friends and everybody. Oh, yes. Yes, Delaney. For whatever reason, Chrome reset my computer the last couple of days. I was going to do a video, but it got nutso. So Chrome, Google, came in, rewrote and upgraded my little laptopy thing here, my little Chromebook, changed all my settings, and then, moved YouTube around, moved this around, changed all the settings, didn't warn me, just shut my computer off, locked it down for several hours. Then all of a sudden it miraculously rebooted. And now I've got all these other things that are going on with this. And so whether I got Facebook banned or not, I only do 1 or 2 videos a month over there, and I very rarely type anything out anymore on Facebook. It's more to check in with my family and to give an update about the farm and stuff. But when I tried to log into Facebook yesterday, several times I might add, they said, "No, well, we can't log you in until you give us some ID." What? Yeah, damn, you're right about that. I'm going to do a separate video on this. I'm a little hot around the collar about it, but this is what I feel about Facebook anyway. So I don't use the medium, but I wanted to wish my daughter a happy birthday yesterday, and Facebook wouldn't let me log on to tell my daughter happy birthday, happy Mother's Day on Sunday. Wait a minute. And now I got to have a freaking driver's license or some other proof. And you got to take a photocopy of it. There's a whole page of instructions and I've been a member of Facebook for 10, 12, 15 years, a long time. Now I log on because somehow my computer logged me off of Facebook, but now to get back on it, even though I use the same password and everything, Facebook says, sorry, we got to have ID. I don't think so. Bye, Facebook family. Sorry, I don't know what to say, but do you think I'm going to fall for this crap? No. Well, show us your electric bill. What? Well, it's got my name on it where I live. Well, what's that? Well, show us a bill. Show us a something. Well, an ID, a library card. Why? Stay out of my business. A bunch of expletives deleted right there. Or avoided maybe. But anyway, yeah, it's really sad, a shame, and that what other website of that kind of thing said, I mean, YouTube, yeah, you join YouTube. Well, wait a minute, YouTube, maybe they're going to start saying, well, we need some identification. You got my face, damn it. I'm face recognition. So I got to send you a photo of one of my bills that I get, that I live here. This, what? Facebook, you've gone too far. But I love you after 120 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes, 120 minutes, 60 plus 80 minutes. I still love you. I still continue to pray. I still have hope for humanity. But it may be we just need, these folks needed to be taken off of their perch. I don't know how else we're going to be able to do it. I'm not for inciting riots, but I am damn sure, let's make sure we continue our protest with these folks. You want to bring them into the country, you want open borders, but Nancy Pelosi doesn't want them in her backyard. That's my point. Nancy Pelosi, you want them, put them in your backyard. Find a place to put them, and you pay for it. You sponsor these people. There's plenty of money. There are plenty of resources. The idea that there's not enough to go around is just ludicrous. But unless we stop the idea of a profit margin, and I mean, these people in the business, you can't sustainably gain a 10% profit margin every year for a long period of time. It's unsustainable. Just saying. I love you all. Close with a prayer. I continue to pray. Yes, it's bogus. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue to accept and receive the blessings, the healing, and the wisdom of the universe. I continue to pray each and every day that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, your relatives, and all of your relations will continue to accept and receive the healing, the blessings, and the knowledge of the universe. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue to accept, receive, and share the knowledge that you receive from the universe with your friends, your family, your relatives, and all of your relations. And I challenge you to share with new folks. My blessings to all of you, Delaney Jones. Peace and blessings to you. For every one of you that may watch this video, keep up the good work. We're going to win, because they can't win at what they're doing. There's too many of us. And there's too many of us that are saying enough is enough. Share what you got. And planetary blast. Yep. And we're going to be getting some heavy duty CMEs coming in the next day or 2 or 3 or 4. So we already won. You know what it looks like without my glasses? It says one man, which almost looks like woman because I'm squinting. But anyway, I think women have already won in a lot of ways too, but we still have ways to go to get this to trickle down. We got to stop the human trafficking. We got to stop some of this other nonsense too. Just got to. What happened in Montgomery, Alabama? I'll check in a minute. Anyway, let me end this video. I love you all. I love you all. I do. Keep up with what's going on. We are winning. I don't know if we've actually won one because they still got the nukes, Delaney. I'm hopeful. Let me say that. But we still got a few hurdles to get over. Don't know what it's about though. Okay, blessings. And Don, if you want to do a much love to you, Delaney, and let's keep up the good work. So. And then for now and later, I got some other stuff to chat about if Google doesn't change the rest of my Chrome settings to where I can't get back online again. So love to you all. Be kind, be sweet, and above all, stay who you are. And from South Georgia, TTF and Ta-ta for